I know what he's gonna do.
Groovy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I see.
Hey.
I see.
Yo,
what
we're
doing.
back. We back in black? That's the saying, right?
It's navy blue.
I'm wearing not even remotely a black shirt.
No.
Yo, we watched Evil Dead.
Bro, colorblind.
2.
Two.
That's 4. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Erase one of them.
I mean, if I try to do this and I was Ash now, it would only be 2.
All right, now. You chill out.
Sorry. Yeah, we watched Evil Dead 2.
Pretty cool movie.
The first one and the second one, completely different tone diff. Absolutely different movie entirely, dude. And honestly, when I think of Evil Dead, I think of this movie. This is the type of film I think of when I think of the Evil Dead franchise.
I feel like I did drugs before I saw this movie.
Okay, before we go into this, I think I rated the first one like a 6. I'm sorry, Evil Dead fans. I'm so sorry. But if you think I'm bad, this man rated it
4.5. Because that movie was not good.
I see where it's got a cult classic. It's a cult classic, and I see where it gets its
Okay.
Cult-
Cult Classic insinuates that it wasn't popular and then became popular. And I'm with the crowd of why it wasn't popular to begin with, if that's the case.
give it another 20 years, and he's gonna look back on that and be like,
No.
"Man, that was a goat movie."
Now, fortunately, the difference between Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 is that I can see the appeal.
Yeah, Evil Dead
Yeah.
2 is amazing. Actually, I think it's funny.
Evil Dead 2 is an interesting movie in a lot of ways, and to kind of give my overall thoughts, I really liked it. I think it was a cool little flick, if you will.
Well, I think this one too is where a lot of the things that I know about the franchise come into play. The chainsaw hand, the double barrel.
I love that.
Ash being a wacko. Like, these are the things that I think of. Because, again, if you're watching this and you didn't watch any of the other ones that we made on Evil Dead, we haven't seen a single Evil Dead until Evil Dead Rise.
Right.
So, for us, this is a whole new experience. And the things that I knew about the franchise before, us going into it now was, chainsaw hand, double barrel, Ash being the badass, being super wacky, stupid,
Right.
comical, comedy, crazy happening. And that's what this movie gives us.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie's wild.
This movie, as I said, is a trip and a half. And, I don't really, I don't know what to think of this. I don't know. I want to say I loved it, but on one hand, I'm like, this is so dumb.
Dude, it is dumb.
It is dumb.
It is
It's a
dumb.
dumb movie. And in that vein, it's very similar to the first one. It's like, what the fuck is happening? But
The difference
way
is
more entertaining.
The difference is I think the first one tried to be a little too serious. Like, it had its funny moments, but I think the first one, the funny moments wasn't on purpose.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This one, I feel like they went for over the top on purpose. Like, they saw what they did, and they're like, you know what? I think the appeal of what people like about the original was that the things that weren't supposed to really be funny ended up being funny, and people liked it about it. So then they're like, let's double on that.
That's fair.
And then we got this movie.
Yeah. And okay, in your opinion, what is the absolute biggest step up from the first movie to the second?
Obviously, the
The
comedy.
emphasis on humor.
Yeah,
then?
but I also think the action, like, there's a lot more going on in this movie. I feel like there are moments where, like, there's nothing happening in this movie, too, where they're just kind of standing around for a few,
Yeah.
but then stuff just happens, right?
It's a very quick movie,
Yeah.
though. It's less than an hour and a half.
I think the first one, there's a lot more nothing happening.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think the two biggest differences is this one has a lot more action and it has a lot more comedy.
That's fair.
And as a person who watches horror movies and knows horror tropes, the sequel's got to be bigger. And here we are.
Okay, now. I enjoy your reference, but my favorite thing about this movie was Ash as a character.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess that feeds into the humor. It's just like, Bruce Campbell does a phenomenal job with physical, violence humor. And, my biggest issue with this movie is it shows its age.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't,
the CGI and, like, that type of stuff.
yes,
Is that what you mean?
where the first movie felt limited by a budget, this movie feels limited by its time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you can definitely tell that they had the budget in the '80s here. Like, they definitely have a lot more budget to work with.
The first movie was so yeah. The first movie felt like, even though it came out in '83, the first movie felt like a '70s movie,
Yeah.
like bar none, just whatever. But then this one, like you can tell they got a budget,
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's just, again, like you were saying, it's an older movie, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one of the things you pointed out, one of the deadites that are like floating in the air, you can see like
You can see the cord hanging, which is very interesting to say.
wild that made it into the final product, huh?
Even like
But-
okay, speaking of movies from like the late '70s into the '80s,
Okay.
Star Wars. Okay, I know there's mistakes in Star Wars. I've been there. I've seen them. But George Lucas, he's known for going back and remastering his films, even so much to where it negatively impacts the film, like adding CG in the early 2000s, 20 years after the movies have come out, and people think it looks bad, which it does. It looked bad then, and it looks really bad now because it didn't age well. It's early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
And but like stuff like that could be hypothetically fixed, like loopholes, little like issues like that. So I'm just thinking, like, all these years later, why didn't whatever company put out this movie, why didn't they just little eraser on that line? Like, it wouldn't take much. It really wouldn't, and that's probably the number one glaring issue with this movie.
I was gonna say that line, that little line there.
And I saw it.
guarantee,
I saw it and I
guarantee
asked you
this
guys.
is gonna dock a whole point for its
No.
rating. Guaranteed.
No. But I just thought it was funny. I really did. I just thought it was.
Well, I didn't even catch it. I'm just sitting here watching the movie. He's like, "You guys see that?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And he like rewinds it. And
Yeah.
He's like, "There's a line to hold him up."
It was just like so obvious. I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Is that the back of the set, or is that?" I was like, "Oh no, that's moving with him." Oh God.
Listen, all I'm saying is the only thing that I don't really care about in this movie is the beginning, because I was confused.
I was okay. We had to look this up, but the beginning was a retelling of the first movie,
But without the friends.
but
Literally
with-
just
but without a lot of the elements. I guess it did boil it down to the core elements,
yeah.
but because it was like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, it just felt really like we didn't know that going
Dude,
in.
I thought that he just was cheating on his. Well, I mean, not
and going
cheating.
back
The girl,
again.
the girl's obviously dead. But I thought that he got a new girlfriend, and then that was named Linda, and he gave her the necklace.
I was like,
and
huh?
I was like, what?
I was like, maybe Ash is like some kind of closet freak or something, but no. Then we find out that it's just a retelling of the events, and it's a watered down version, obviously for the sake of time. But it's like, what the hell is this? Because things were different enough to where I was like, I don't know, maybe this is different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
But
wasn't
like the bridge, being much higher up in the air, didn't just seem like something they could just swim across the water to
Yeah,
get
because the
away.
first one it looked like it was barely damaged. It was damaged, but you could easily just go across.
Right,
It didn't
right,
look like
right.
there was a giant cliff.
Yes, yeah. So they definitely changed that quite a bit, and I don't know, the beginning of the movie, and at the time we didn't know it was a retelling. It just felt it was so quick. I was like, why is this moving so quick? Because one scene they were dancing, the next scene he was releasing the Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
And then a scene later she was dead and attacking him, and I was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it was-
Obviously I knew it was a catch up, but I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, I gotta say, once it went to the scene after the beginning where it showed the the camera movement going at Ash again, I was like, okay, we're back. That's how it ended the first time. So I'm like, I guess this was just a retelling of the story.
Right.
So after that point, though, we go into the actual movie, and what do we think?
The actual movie itself.
So beginning here, we'll just talk about parts here. Beginning of the movie, how do you like how it starts out where he actually gets kind of possessed for a second, and then sun comes out and he's like, ugh,
Okay,
vampires.
right. Well, interesting twist and bit of lore that the sun is the reason that the demon wants to kill everyone by morning.
Yeah, that wasn't
In this
implied in the
instance,
first one at all.
It was not. I mean, there was no dead by dawn. They do say dead by dawn in this one, right?
Yeah.
So that was something, and that is something that is a phrase that is mentioned in spoilers. Evil Dead Rise. I'm not saying any more than that, but it doesn't make sense in Evil Dead Rise.
I feel like it was just a nod.
Yeah,
Just
probably.
a nod to the
probably.
previous films.
Let me ask you this. Something I've seen some minor. I'm starting to get into the Evil Dead community a little bit on Twitter.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay.
just a little bit.
I played the game, so I'm already there.
So, are you of the mindset that whenever the Book of the Dead is released or opened or the words are said,
Okay.
is it the same demon every time? Or is it like
I
one
honestly-
amalgamation of demons, or is it different demons each time?
I always thought it was different.
Different? Okay.
But like, I could see it being the same technically. But aren't there like, from what I know, isn't there like 3 different books? Aren't there different books?
Well, in Evil Dead Rise, they say there's 3 volumes.
Okay.
This is the 3rd volume, or at least they say it's the 3rd. There could be more, I guess, hypothetically.
I would say I'm not very knowledgeable on the book itself,
Well,
and how many there is, or how the demons work.
The first movie doesn't tell us very much at all.
Yeah, it's just-
he burns the book at the end, and seemingly that's that. But with the retelling of this one, the book is still a thing, right?
I mean, I know there's like the pages. Was the whole book together? I don't know.
No, because she's bringing the pages back, if you remember. So I don't know if that's what does it. Because the apparitions are still there, attacking him. Remember, even at the end of the first movie, he's attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, even with the book burned, like the demon was still.
Yeah, you have to
about.
say the words. That's what they bring up in this movie.
Well, the thing too, though, is like, okay, maybe
Dragon.exe.
No, I'm thinking because maybe
maybe
because the demon obviously like gets and runs away and stuff when it turns morning again, right?
Right.
Did it come back at nighttime, or the demon came back at nighttime before
Yeah,
the
remember
girl
did
came.
a really quick cut.
I was thinking like maybe it disappeared or whatever. Then the girl came in and then like it played the chant again, and then it brought the demon back. But like the demon came back immediately after, because like the fast morning to night in like 2 seconds.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
He's just standing there at the bridge.
It's like when you hit wait in Skyrim. Motherfucker driving.
Just like Ash trying to drive away from the Deadite.
Yeah.
And he like flung himself out.
Ejected himself.
Dude, that
Wear
is
a seatbelt, kids.
That is literally the best thing about this movie, though, is just Bruce Campbell's Ash. Dude,
Yes.
he goes ham with this comedic, like, stupid plates in the face, bashing himself on.
Can we appreciate a main character that's just an absolute idiot?
Yeah, literally, this
love
man
it.
is so stupid.
Like, and it's just like task failed successfully.
I don't know why. It's not even really important in the slightest. Man's going to sit down on the chair. He just slightly misses. He doesn't even fully sit on it. It's like the edge. He sits on the edge and just breaks. He falls.
Yeah. And then
He's like, me for real.
That's when the items in the house get possessed, and the deer like goes and starts laughing at him.
That's when he starts laughing with the objects.
He's like,
they're all.
and then he's like bouncing with it.
He's like
Kind of like my daughter.
And then just when because there's like 4 other people that are coming to that like cabin.
Yes.
That had nothing to do with Ash's original group, and like he just like turns to the door and shoots and actually shoots the girl.
He shoots Bobby Joe in the arm.
Yeah, Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe.
This movie is insane. And with that being said, I think both of these podcasts have been pretty high energy.
Whatever happened to the one guy though? I don't even remember.
What one guy?
There was Bobby Joe's boyfriend, and the one that looked a little weird.
With the teeth.
Yeah. There was the girl. The other guy. What happened to the other guy?
He was the first to turn.
Did he turn?
Yeah.
I remember
he was the one that was hanging with the cord. He was the because he was sitting on the couch because he was hurt.
Yeah. Because I remember
he's the one that got grabbed from the cellar, and the one that actually got it like hurt.
Oh, okay.
From
Gotcha.
the lady in the cellar.
See, all I remember from that character is just him like bashing his head off like the painting or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
That was when he went down, and then they were like, "Oh, we gotta nurse him back," and then he fucking turned.
Yo, Bobby Joe over here choking on that eyeball.
Oh my god.
But then like the hand's what does it, right? Isn't the hand what makes her get freaked out and like run out the door into the woods?
Yeah. Yeah, we never saw. Maybe she just was like, she's really good at like taking pills or something.
Yeah, well, it looked like she swallowed it, so like.
Did it?
I think she swallowed the eyeball.
Yikes!
Listen, all I'm saying is that there was no threesome in this game. This movie.
No threesome in this one. Yeah, that's good.
Dude, they
implied. I mean, it was getting there for a minute.
Yeah, the tree was wrapping around her again. I'm like, not again.
I was like, no. It gave me PTSD.
I'm like, please no.
PTSD.
I do like how the trees had like faces.
Please acknowledge my joke.
I do like how the trees had faces this time.
Had what?
You didn't see like how the trees outside actually had like faces and stuff?
Oh, I didn't hear what you said because I was like too sad that you didn't acknowledge my joke.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yes, I really like the humanization, or like the human traits of like the trees. Like I think that's pretty cool.
The more I think about this movie, the more I like it. I love the hand. I love how the hand like actually.
I think it's a dumb good time. I think this is one of those movies that like if I could see this being someone's comfort movie.
Like if you're going in to watch a horror movie, this ain't it.
No,
This is not.
No, and I actually saw. Speaking of being in the Evil Dead community, I saw a advertisement with I don't remember who the famous person was. Someone and Sam Raimi sitting in like a movie theater.
Okay.
And it was like he was like, "Hi, I'm Sam Raimi," and he's like talking like how he does or whatever. He's like, "I am the director of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2," and all this and that. And he's like being a little fucking goofy. And he goes, "This movie," or they're like, "Here, you want some popcorn?" And the other guy, and then it's like they're acting like all scared and stuff. I'm just like, this movie ain't scary.
Yeah, so evil. Maybe in the 80s, I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't. I think even for the 80s, I don't think this was scary.
The sequel, God no. The first one, maybe.
Even that's like
The second one, though, you can't tell. Dude, it's so fucking
the
comical.
The first one was scary, like a car accident. Like it was really bad. You just didn't want to look away.
This one, though, I think the hand was one of my favorite parts. There's two parts that I want to talk about that are my favorite parts. One, the hand. And
Okay.
two, possessed Ash. That was legendary. I actually didn't expect to see a possessed Ash ever in the franchise.
So that's not in the game.
I mean, I think there is, but like I didn't know that was like canon.
Like from
you
a
know?
thing.
I didn't know it was canon
Gotcha.
from
Yeah.
the franchise.
No, I think I would like to talk about possessed Ash first, personally. I have more to say about the hand because I think it's so cool. But possessed Ash, I think, is a really cool concept. I like the way that it's like, obviously at first the reason it retreats from him is because, the sunlight, which, whatever, that's kind of cool. And if you think about it,
Good. I was just gonna say that like possessed Ash in the beginning was okay, but when he comes in later, that was cool.
you thought that was cool?
Yeah, like when he actually is because like it's all sudden. You don't even like he gets knocked out off screen.
Right, yeah, he's
And
off
then
screen for
he
a
just
minute,
comes
he's
back and he just body slams
Yeah,
whatever
no.
his name was.
Yeah, what I liked about that, no, I really, that's what I was actually going to get into. It was like, in the beginning, that's how it goes away. Then he gets knocked out, and of course he's repossessed. And I like the idea that it still prefers Ash once he's been possessed. Mm-hmm. But he was not potentially maybe mentally weak enough yet until he was unconscious. I don't know how that works exactly.
What do you think about like how he becomes unpossessed because of the necklace?
I thought it was a little weird.
You think it was a little cheesy?
I thought it was a little cheesy because why would possessed Ash ever pick it up to begin
Well,
with?
it was on the ground,
Right.
but like I think like it was supposed to show that Ash is still in there and he's like, ugh,
Yeah.
and then that's what changes him back.
Right.
So like emotional attachment or something. But that's what I was wondering, like what you thought of it. Like if you
Yeah.
thought it was kind of dumb or if you thought it was all right.
I thought it was a little cheesy. I was kind of hoping that it was going to be a situation where she would have to survive until dawn,
Survive.
Annie, and then that was going to be that. And well, then they would wake up, and then maybe they would make a break for it. But then we wouldn't have any of the crazy stuff that happened. So, who am I to say? I'm not Sam Raimi.
I mean, we'll talk about the ending later, but that's the one thing that like the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, because the third one I've never watched, of course, like I said. But I know that what the third one, where it takes place
Yeah.
and like how it takes place or whatever. So I was like, did the third one just come out of nowhere and they came up with an idea and the third one just out of nowhere? Or did the sequel like end on like a cliffhanger to put us into the third movie? And it did.
Right.
But the whole time I'm like, I'm interested. I'm excited to see how it ends.
I'm very excited. What's got me super interested for watching Army of Darkness, once again, really weird. It drops the Evil Dead name, by the way. In my opinion, it doesn't at least say Evil Dead Army of Darkness.
Really, it doesn't?
It's just Army of Darkness.
Oh, I thought it was still Evil Dead.
No,
Army of
it's
Darkness.
just the movie's just called Army of Darkness.
Okay.
But
I mean, you do you, Evil Dead.
Yes.
But
so for the sake of things, you said you want to talk about the ending later. We'll get into that later.
I figured we should.
Yeah.
We don't have to be like super chronic, in order.
Right, I understand.
But like, we should save the ending for the end, of course. You know
Yeah.
how classy you gotta be, like us.
You gotta be classy. But yeah, anything else on good old possessed Ash? I think it's a really cool
Honestly,
concept.
I just think it's cool.
I think it's definitely a one and done thing. I think
You don't think we'll be seeing it in Army of Darkness?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
All right, we'll see. I'm interested to see if that is going to make a return or not.
I don't think it will.
Don't think so?
I don't think so.
I'm cool with it not returning, though, because like it was super interesting to see just once. I didn't think I was ever going to see that.
Right.
So, power to him. I liked it. I think he actually looked cool, too. Like, out of all the Deadites, he looked the coolest, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. That brings up something in this movie. The first movie, the Deadites were a lot of, like, you know, very... I mean, there's a few puppets in there that look bad, mind you, in the first movie. But where it was, like, the heavy prosthetic, like, makeup over top. That looked creepy. In this movie, there was a lot more of emphasis on them transforming into things, if you noticed.
Yeah.
Especially the main one in the cellar. And how do you feel about that?
I thought it was okay. I mean, it was just fun to see the different variants of things they could come up with.
It was.
But I think there is an aesthetic to just being a normal person, being, grossified.
Yes. And I guess that does fit the theme of, like, stepping away from the horror in this one.
Yeah.
But, like, in the first movie, it was actually unsettling. I won't say creepy, terrifying, but it was unsettling.
I agree.
In this movie, it wasn't any of that, really. I thought it was an interesting idea that it started, like, howling like a monkey. And it even said monkey-like sounds or whatever. Yeah. I was like, oh, my God, Harambe.
What do you think? Now, is your opinion like that because of it being like an 80s movie and like it not looking the best?
No,
or is it just the idea itself?
I like Ghostbusters, and I can deal with like that. I don't know exactly what that imposed image is called, if it is just computer generated still at the time. But there's a definite specific look to that style of CG at the time, right? Where it's like very low frames.
Yeah.
Like it moves much slower than you would see today.
Choppy. Yeah.
It's a lot choppier, and I don't care, and it sticks out from the color grading of the rest of the scene. I don't mind that per se. That's not really what's bothering me. I think it's just more the fact that stylistically, I just thought it was a little odd, all things considered. But I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it overall. It was just weird to me. And the one pro I will say about that is that leading into Army of Darkness. When you hear Army, you think there's hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. There's like a bunch, like probably different kinds.
True.
I want to see all kinds of different demons in this next movie.
Well, I feel like that's kind of what it's playing
up
to.
That's what I'm hoping you get the armies of the medieval and then the medieval dead. You know what I mean?
Listen, all I'm saying is that, I don't know about canon video game, but the video game does have, like, possessed Deadites wearing armor. So
I'm excited, baby!
So I am interested to see how that works. And there's like skeletons that are possessed.
Yes,
I'm curious to see how the new one, or not new one, but the next one is compared. Now, I think it kind of builds up the character of Ash, because, as a person who's never seen the franchise till now, the big popular Ash character outside of the movies that, like, anyone would know is he's, super bad at killing things, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, like, it builds up to that. I think the first one, he's like,
literally standing in the corner. I love it.
And then in this one, like, he starts stepping up.
Yes.
I mean, he's not your super skilled mercenary yet, but
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
And I'm thinking maybe the third one is when he just goes ballistic. Like Doom guy, he's just going to go ham.
Well, even the last bit of this movie, I'm not saying he was completely there, but he was geared up a little bit.
That transition where he puts the chainsaw on his arm.
I love the little like point where they put the pull so he can go like this.
Yeah.
That was such a smart thing.
I just love
instead of him just doing this, which is cool, but he can hold the shotgun and he can go like this.
I just love where he actually chainsaws the gun like a little bit, the barrels, and then just like pulls it up.
Yes, I love that. Dope. That was so cool. Ash in this movie definitely that was the chair. Ash in this movie definitely redeems himself as like a cool character.
Yeah, a cool character. Because like I said, the first one he was kind of just bare bones. Whatevs.
And I know we still need to talk about the hand because I'm really excited for that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to tie in really well with our Ash talk. but because that's still kind of early in the movie when he's still kind of transitioning from being
The noob
the noob
to the
because this is the movie because you got to think this is all over the span of 2 days.
Yeah,
now.
that's
but
what
between the first
listen,
movie and the second.
That's what I told you after we watched it. I'm like, imagine being this guy, just wanting to go out, hang out with his girlfriend, his group of friends on the weekend, and then, the first movie happens on one day. You
Yeah.
survive, you think. You get out of the house, you're like, it's time to get out of here. And then the sequel happens right the next night.
Yes. That honestly, I love it when movies back to back like that. And
Shout out to Happy Death Day.
yes, yeah, that is another great
I
example.
agree though. I love when movies take place like right after each other because
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I think if they pull it off correctly,
And it
it's
seems
re-
like 3 is going to do that as well for this one.
Yeah, it
So,
does. And I think I think I'm stumbling over words, but I think that the reason I like when they're back to back to back by like day after day after day for each movie or something like that, if they do it correctly, you really see the improvement of main character or whoever characters are part of the story
Right.
still. You see them grow from literally day to day to day.
Yeah.
And you just see how awesome or, whatever they become.
Yeah. Now you mentioned other characters, and that's one thing in this movie I'm gonna count as a negative.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
I mean, the first one wasn't very strong either for other characters. I mean, the girlfriend was obviously important to Ash's arc.
Yes.
like, Who cares?
But-
I don't think any of the side characters have ever mattered so far.
No, that's probably my biggest criticism of the series. There's no one for. I mean, this movie honestly, this movie does more for Ash and his girlfriend from the first movie than the first
first
movie
one?
did, which is bad. It's like retrograde. Like, it makes the first movie look bad, but then if you go back to the first movie, they actually get screen time together, and just overall, I think the side characters in this or the supporting cast has not ever been good. Bruce Campbell really steals the show with his role. Not even in the first one, which was why I rated the first movie so low.
Yeah, the first one, Bruce Campbell definitely didn't get to
Right.
go all out.
And I think that I don't know. I really wish that going into this third movie, I really wish that there was just another, even if it was a girl, I don't care who it was, there was someone else surviving to where we could I know a sense of familiarity with a different character.
Yeah, that's not just Ash. Yeah.
I know her, I know him. Someone else I can root for. Hey, they've been here before. They've done this. Maybe
Yeah.
they've got a chance of surviving too. But right now, it's just okay. Well, they're cannon fodder.
I mean, I figured she was going to die anyway, but the new girl seemed a little bit more important out of the other cast.
Yeah,
But even then, I mean,
I kind of found her unlikable.
really?
Yeah, a little bit. She just seemed. I don't know. Well,
I didn't really have an opinion that I liked or disliked her. She was kind of just there,
once-
but she drove the story forward with the whole mom and dad being the owners of the cabin or something.
she definitely got more interesting once they got to the cabin and things were wrong. So that was that. I will give you that. There was something there, but unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they killed her at the end.
They did, I think.
Because she got stabbed, she passed out at the very least. So unless they're going to say, hey, she got sucked in, they brought her actors back for the third movie, which I would love,
Yeah,
by
what
the
if
way.
they did bring her back? That'd be interesting.
I'd be fine with it.
That'd be interesting.
Hindsight's 2020. We're about 20 years late on this. 20. Holy shit.
My
We're about
man.
40 years late on this film.
Did you say 2020?
No, I said 20, and there was 20 question mark. Why did I say 20?
I thought it's 2020. I'm like, buddy, you don't even know what year we're actually in currently.
What year is it? What movie is that from? What year is it?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Bet it does. I'm not telling you what it is.
That's fine. I don't really care.
Put it down in the comments. What movie is that?
Me when I don't care.
My honest reaction. But anyway, supporting cast, in my opinion, not that good. I definitely think this is where the series could have improved, and quite frankly, where it does improve. At least 2023. I don't know about Army of Darkness. I don't know about 2013. Well, 2013.
I actually do really want to see the 2013 reboot because I've heard really good things about it, but then I've also heard bad things about it. So
Well,
I'm really curious.
Outside looking in, I'm getting a feeling that the reason people might not have liked it, if they didn't like it, is because Bruce isn't in it.
I mean, we watched this one, obviously. We haven't watched Army of Darkness yet. But
Right.
I think Evil Dead obviously turned into your comical, wacky, you know, gore everywhere. And I think the 2013 reboot is a lot like Evil Dead Rise reboot, to where it's a lot more focused on the horror side of things. At least that's me looking in from the outside.
See, I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Now that we are 2 movies into the original trilogy so far, looking back at Evil Dead Rise, which we've still seen fairly recently,
Yeah.
and I've now seen twice, how do you feel about that movie and where it fits in the franchise? Obviously, it doesn't mess up the timeline or the canon or anything.
Yeah.
So it fits in, technically.
It's a different vibe, man. Like I said, 2013.
Personally, I think all 3 movies we've watched have been different.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
But just knowing how Army of Darkness is probably going to continue much of 2.
I think Army of Darkness is probably going to be the wackiest of them all.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited
Because
for
the
that.
jump from 1 to 2 was so insane, and then I think 2 to 3 is like, oh god, I'm so excited.
I am actually really excited to see how it goes.
And that's the biggest praise I can give this movie is like I went into this expecting like, oh, this is the movie that everybody loves.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this movie's fucking weird, but I'm excited to watch Army of Darkness.
Listen, all I'm saying is I really, really wanted to like the first one. And where I said I rated it a 6, I believe. And, you know, for me, I saw the positives of why people do like the original. I just think there was too many negatives and faults to the first one.
Okay.
And I think this one really found its identity. I think the second one found its identity of what it should and wants to be, which that doesn't mean it doesn't have to stick to that, because Evil Dead Rise was fantastic. And I still do think, even though we haven't seen the other 2 yet, the 2 that we have seen, I still think it fits in well. Like, I think all 3 of them fit in the universe. I just think the universe is just so crazy that, like, anything can fit in it.
And speaking of like expanding or redefining the universe, I have 2 thoughts. Mm-hmm. One of which being that Bruce Campbell recently went on records when someone asked about the potential of Ash joining the Mortal Kombat roster.
I did read that.
Did you read that?
Yeah, because he
Where
said,
was like,
yo,
"No,
bring them to us.
bring them to us."
Yo, imagine seeing, like, Scorpion running around in Evil Dead.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. With the now established idea that there are portals within the franchise, as of right now, we just know them as time portals, right? They send the demons back in time, and therefore Ash gets sucked in too, right? Mm-hmm. With that being said, what would you think about the idea of a crossover in the sense that they're summoned from another universe?
For a movie or for, like, a game? Like, the game? What do you mean?
Personally, I think it would fit easiest into the game. Mm-hmm. I agree with you there. And
I mean, the movie would be wild. Imagine just...
But I mean, like, pick an idea that works. Like, okay, like, let's say...
Master Chief? Master Chief just pops.
See, you're thinking another protagonist. I'm thinking a new threat. I'm thinking like a Terminator comes through.
Also, like, you know, like your Alien versus Predator. Like, you want an Ash versus...
I want an Ash versus the hive of xenomorphs. Yes, that's what I want.
Dude, imagine? That'd be dope.
Like, yes, that is awesome.
But
like, send them in...
Here's the thing.
Send them into the future, and in the future you find out that it's the same universe as Alien.
There you go.
There you go.
Listen, all I'm saying, though, is that I'd be down for it, but I know how people are, and as soon as they get that pitch idea, they'd be like, ugh.
Well, Alien versus Predator sucks, so I get it.
I don't know. It's one of those things that if you try to do something unique or different, people are automatically put off on it. And honestly, I'd be down for it, because it'd be really cool to see a fight scene of, like, just Ash going at it with Xenomorphs, or like,
right.
Yo, when's Ash going after Ghostface? Ash is Ghostface.
It all became clear when Ghostface had a chainsaw hand. really sly on that one there, Brucey. But no, that was one of the thoughts that I had, was just like, what are like, you know, crossovers I think would fit really well with Evil Dead, but it would be hard to pick a franchise that would cross over well with Evil Dead, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
bringing them to their world makes sense. Bringing Ash to, like,
someone else,
it doesn't really make much sense, I guess.
I don't know. I could justify it. It's like, this is really just a badass guy at this point.
Yeah, but, like,
kind of doofy.
You also have to know that you have to understand that, like, Ash comes from universe of, like, all these things that are happening. You can't just bring the character and be like, okay, all his plot and world building is all gone. His universe and where he stands has to be real.
Right.
So, like, I don't know how. I mean, I think it'd be a lot easier to bring someone from something else and bring them into the universe of Evil Dead.
Right.
But
I agree.
Listen, I'm down either way.
I definitely think it would be cool. Now, the other thought I had, when it comes to the first movie, and I know that we're talking about the second movie in this podcast, but promise this is our last side tangent I have before we go on to the hand.
Okay.
The dreaded hand. So, we both like video games.
I hate them.
Naturally, yes.
I just bought a PC for literally no reason.
Yeah. So, so, with that idea in mind, the first movie, it's sloppy, right? And even from the sense of the opening recap of this movie, you can tell that there's things that were meant to be different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, I felt like right off the bat, I was like, oh, the tone's definitely different here.
Right. I would love to see a Resident Evil 7 style reimagining of the first movie. Imagine it, limbs cut off or just something like, maybe not that exactly.
Doesn't matter. What does Resident Evil 7 do when you get your limb cut off? I'm Ethan Winters. I hate him.
But okay, maybe not to that extreme, but honestly, Resident Evil Dead crossover, was that happening? Does that not just fit perfectly?
Yo, Ash versus Wesker. Sign me up.
I can just see the fighting game, like the 2D fighting game now. Like
he goes to
groovy.
He goes to Chainsaw. Wesker
Premature.
Premature.
Classic. Yes.
That'd be awesome. And then like you said, groovy. He Wesker would do his little wah, and Ash, he'd go flying back and get up and be like, groovy.
Classic. But
yeah, who's winning that fight though?
I don't know enough about Wesker.
Yeah, you didn't play RE5.
And I honestly don't know that I'm fully capable of Ash either.
Yeah, we haven't seen Ash at his all-time highest. I
So-
feel like Army of Darkness is gonna be.
It's going to be crazy.
He's gonna be his probably strongest character.
I'm excited. So, where do you stand on the idea that we have an Evil Dead video game now,
And I like it actually a lot.
and I'm keen to play it. I actually really am, especially now that we've been playing these. I'm thinking about hopping into it.
Yo.
And
Send me an invite.
yeah, absolutely. And with that, I really
Like a story game.
would love. I mean, I was even thinking this with Evil Dead Rise. In a way, like you would have to gamify things a little bit, but I think that could be a really thrilling, like 4 to 5 hour experience.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. That's just I thought I had to throw it out there, but yeah, let's get handy.
Yeah, he's like, and then he just plate, a plate.
I didn't actually mean to hit myself with the...
Nothing. Dude, I was laughing so hard. He just
I had seen the plate clip on Twitter. Just that,
Have you?
just that quick like. Love it.
Well, I like it because it's funny because like he gets knocked down on the floor, he gets over, and the hand just finds more
Oh my
plates.
gosh! Yes, and then when he becomes unconscious, and then the hand's dragging him like to the butcher knife.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I love that. And then he just stabs it.
he's like, yeah, what about
Who's
now?
laughing now?
And dude just grabs the chainsaw, just
Bites it. To the jaw strength of this man.
yeah. The fact that he had the strength that cut his hand off.
The jaw strength of this man.
Awesome. All I'm saying is I love the part where the hand's detached and like it's running around, and yeah, I love that like it gets hit on the mouse trap. And then Ash just starts laughing at it, and then it just gets out and flips the ball.
It's really calm. Like little stuff like that is so funny.
And speaking of the hand, like you know how I don't remember her name, the girl,
Which one?
the one that,
Annie or
Annie,
Bobby
yeah,
Joe?
Annie, yes. And I love how the hand just becomes irrelevant for so long,
And then
it
she's
comes
holding-
back and kills Anne, or just like stabs her with that thing in the back.
I know.
Like what?
Yeah, that hand. Like he really should have blown that thing up. He thought he did.
He
at
thought he
one
did
point.
because he shot it. Is that the last time that they see it?
Well, there's blood that comes through the wall, but we never see that that's what he shot.
Yeah, but that's when you see like the shower of blood in his face. God. And then it turned into like oil.
Well, that's like the black stuff that even in Evil Dead Rise, it's like coming out of her eyes and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. At least it wasn't the white liquid.
Oh my god, that was disgusting. But
I don't think there was any of that in this movie.
No.
A lot of blood though.
I didn't like the blood in this movie. Well, no, not even the amount of blood. Like, I've come to expect that, but like
just the way it looks.
Blood has come a long way.
Yeah.
That's like this movie. Okay, let's compare this movie to Scream, the original movie. Okay, the blood in Scream looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
When, spoilers for Scream 1996, by the way. When Billy fakes his death, or fakes his stabbing at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you remember how that blood looks a little less good?
Yeah, a little less good.
That's
what this blood looks like.
That's what this blood looks like. Yeah. And I'm just like, that just looks off. Or like, there's a Saw movie that was released in 3D. I don't know if you remember that one.
There's so many Saws at this point.
I know, but that movie specifically, the blood in that one looks so fucking bad. It's like I want to say it's like a mid to late 2000s movie, and like the 3D was the craze at the time, and they went like all in on it, and for whatever reason, just in the home cut, you can just tell like this is bad, and like so
which is weird because that's like Saw's like strongest point, like not even storytelling, just like the gore.
The movies up until that point were fine.
Yeah.
But it was that one.
Is that when it started going downhill?
Looked bad.
See,
after it was fine again.
I've never remotely even closely come watching to all of the movies. I've only watched
the first one's
the
really
original.
Good.
The original was good.
The first one's really good.
I've watched the original and maybe the second one, but after that, I've never watched.
I've seen them all.
No, you have not.
Yes, I have.
Really?
Deadass. Solomon College.
All of them.
All of them, and I hate gore. And I will say this: there are a few scenes.
That's like all Scream. Oh, yeah, Scream. That's all Saw is just gore.
I know, but I thought the I forget the antagonist's name, like the guy. It's like John or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. He like it's well, they get crazy with it. It's like for like the first like couple movies, it's like this guy who's like. Hello, Samantha. Would you like to play a game? And then it's like, do you remember when you were 10, you stepped on a worm? I saw that worm. It was my friend. Today you will be stepping on glass shards.
No, the one that
remind you of stepping on that worm.
Yeah, the one that was what I don't remember which one this one was.
Was it the needles?
But it was the girl that like stole a purse once.
Really?
And she stole a purse once.
I don't remember specifics.
And I think the reason that like he gets her is not just only did he steal the purse, but the purse had medication for the person that she stole it from. Obviously, she stole it for the money, and then like the person died because not having the medication. But then they're like, "So you're gonna go through all this because you took the purse?"
Right.
I mean, huh?
Well, it's stuff like that. Like I remember there's one where it's like he lived across the street from someone who smothered their baby. Like I remember there's like crazy stuff.
And that man got put into the chamber? Like the one that's just across the street?
No. Oh. He like the actual Tobin. Is his name Tobin?
Oh, like the actual killer?
Yes.
No, yeah.
Well, the whole movie I know Evil Dead tangent.
Yeah, what's Evil Dead? We're watching Saw now, baby. Welcome to the Saw podcast.
Let me just end this with Saw. They get to the point where they're like at the end they're like this man, like the killer's dying. He's like got like cancer or something, and like we're learning all this about this guy, and I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell is all this backstory? And so yeah, Saw, crazy franchise. You should check it out. Don't know that we'll ever cover it here.
You've killed your girlfriend once, and then you killed more people that were possessed by deadites, and it doesn't really matter because they were still people inside. So thus, you must go through the game.
I rides out on the bike.
Yeah, who's won that battle?
Oh my god.
God.
I really enjoy Evil Dead 2. It's a really fun movie in a lot of ways.
Listen, all I'm saying is that when we went into this, my cousin really recommended this movie. He said the second one is phenomenal. He's like, the second one's great. So my expectations were a little bit higher, but like I said, the first one I thought was just okay. So it was a mediocre, and I think it definitely went over my medium expectations. I had a blast watching this. I thought it was hilarious.
I had high expectations, And I think from the perspective of looking at it, thinking that this movie was going to be like really, really good, I can say I was moderately let down.
Gotcha.
Just in the sense of expectations. This movie's not a bad movie, but from all the praise I've heard, I don't think it's all that.
Okay.
But I think it's a pretty good movie. It's an entertaining watch. It's definitely fun. It's mostly well made.
It's one of those things that without Bruce Campbell here,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
The heart and soul of this movie
Bruce Campbell.
and this franchise up until this point, Bruce Campbell.
Yep, he carries
Yes.
hardcore. Without him, this movie is probably nothing.
And before we go in, sorry.
And I just want to say that, like, with the first two movies, that's how it is. But, like, Evil Dead Rise we watched, Bruce Campbell's not in it.
Yes.
And that movie's phenomenal.
Oh my
So,
God.
like, it's not like Evil Dead has to have Bruce Campbell in it, but, like, these old movies, Bruce Campbell's the only one. He's clutching up.
I think Evil Dead Rise might be in my top, like, 25
Really?
of all time.
I think it's in my top. Like, it's probably my second favorite movie this year, on top of Scream.
Yes.
6.
Scream 6 is a really good movie. I've seen a lot of, like, backhanded criticism of that movie since it's come
Yeah.
out.
Literally, the only complaint I even had was just,
No
we
one
can't
died.
talk about this. We can't talk about this. What do you mean? This is Evil Dead podcast.
You're right. I'm sorry. Well, people do die.
Just certain people that probably should have died.
Yeah. So
Didn't
that's
die.
just opinion based. Yeah. Go check out our Scream 6 podcast. You know what I mean? The movie, you can watch it on Paramount Plus.
Good
You
movie.
should have seen it.
One of the best Screams in a long time.
So we've talked about Scream. We've talked about Saw. Let's talk about Evil Dead 2.
Yo, Freddy Krueger.
I've never seen him.
I'm so sorry. Evil Dead fans are like, what am I listening to?
What is this?
They probably clicked off as soon as you said the word Saw.
Yeah, probably.
They're out.
Hey, but to wrap this up, the one final thing I did want to bring up, and you can bring up anything you'd like as well before we
Gotcha.
go into our final verdicts. How do you feel about the idea of directors putting their friends in like their movies? Okay, so I know we've talked a lot about how directors, or I like to put a lot of emphasis on directors and how they influence a project,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't their original idea. From what I can understand, this like Evil Dead is the mind product of Sam Raimi, like from what I can tell.
Okay.
At least the original concept of it is. And I saw a thing recently on the dreaded TikTok. It was Bruce Campbell at like a show or a con or something, and people were asking about Sam Raimi pretty much, and he was just like, "Oh well, they met in school. Did you know that? They met in like high school or middle school.
That's actually hilarious.
They were like friends. Like that. Like probably the reason that Bruce Campbell was in the movie. They were both into
friends.
film.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
how they met. Because I remember because in the the presentation or the talk or whatever, he was talking about how he was like a more of a cooler guy in school, and then Sam was just like the little nerd playing with toys or whatever.
Okay.
And he goes, he never interacted with him, and then they were both. It was something like he had to take a typing class. He couldn't do typing, so he went into another elective class that he had to take, and it was just like film, and that's where he got into talking with Sam, and that's how that became a thing. And they become apparently good friends from this, and they always like. He talks about how they always prank each other, and they like putting each other through different kinds of crazy stuff.
Legends.
And then it eventually escalated to the point where he put Bruce Campbell through Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And
is like the turnaround, like, do I approve of stuff like that?
okay, so that's one example. Another example that has been coming up recently. Are you familiar with the whole DC shakeup, like the DCU stuff?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, well, the idea is that like the whole like their cinematic universe, which has been like poorly put together, all things considered.
Well, I do know they're scrapping it.
Yeah, they're scrapping it,
completely
and they're bringing
that.
in James Gunn, the guy who did like
Marvel
Guardians of the
stuff.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
And they're bringing him in to kind of like head the operation. And they've already announced like their plans to do like continued stuff. I don't really know DC, so I don't care. But there's been a lot of contention about the fact that like he hires people that he's friends with, or like I want to say in like a smaller role in like the Peacemaker show or something like that. He had like his wife playing a role in it or something like that. And like I look at like Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, James Gunn and the multiple people that he brings up, like Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead, Merle.
Mm-hmm.
He's in both Guardians movies. He's in Suicide Squad, or the Suicide Squad, or whatever. And like, I just look at this and I'm like, I think it's cool. I think it's a neat thing that directors are able to do that, because like even outside of Evil Dead, Sam Raimi had Bruce Campbell in every Spider-Man movie. He had him in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And even in Doctor Strange, he was possessed to have his hand attack him.
That is funny.
Did you know that?
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I'm not into Marvel or DC stuff too much, but
well,
that's actually awesome.
That's just the example I'm.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I got you.
Like as far as like with James Gunn, that's the one
I
I'm
honestly
closest come to think of.
I mean, I'm down with that. I think it's cool. I mean, you know, without stuff like that, we wouldn't have, you know, Evil Dead in general and Bruce Campbell being Bruce Campbell in these movies. But I think that there is a threshold where you should not just hire your like friends or people you know, right?
Right.
Like, you should definitely give people outside of that, you know, box that you have and give other people a chance, right?
I agree.
I'm not like full on just do that every single time, only that, just that, you know? But I do like being able for directors and stuff to be able to put like their closest friend in or something like that. And like,
right.
I'm down for it.
I think it's especially fine in like smaller roles.
Yeah.
But one example that I think is pretty compelling to me, and while we didn't like the movie Nope,
Yeah.
it was a movie that a lot of people go to bat for as a film they like. I don't understand it, but we see Daniel Kaluuya and Jordan Peele. They teamed up with Get Out. He was Chris Washington in that. And then he was Otis Jr. in Nope. So the two lead roles in 2 out of 3 of Jordan Peele's films.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know. I just like, there's something compelling about the fact that like, I see like, and I don't know that they were great friends before Nope.
Yeah.
Or I mean Get Out. But like, I think there's definitely something interesting to the fact that like, hey, this guy's got a lot of potential. I want to work with him again.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think there's something really cool to that. Now, I don't know. It's something I wanted to bring up. I don't know that I really had anything profound to say about it. It's just something I noticed, something I like.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I like that camaraderie overall. Yeah. I really do.
I just think there is a threshold where it gets a little overbearing, and but you know, things like that I do agree are awesome. It's really cool to see like a director or whatever, producer or whoever work
right.
with a really close friend or something and be able to work with them on different projects.
Right.
And then being able to show off their range of different characters they can play, or like range of like, you know, are they going to be comedic this time? Are they going to be serious? It's really cool to be able to do that. But I'm also on team of letting other actors do stuff too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm half and half. Probably more towards 70, like, oh, I love it. And then you're 40 of like, hey.
Yeah. Did you say 70 and 40?
I didn't say 70 and 40. 70 and 30. I'm bad at math.
You're bad at math. Let's see. Is there anything else you really want to talk about with this movie before we kind of go into like a summary, final verdict type situation?
Not really. I feel like most of the Evil Dead stuff was kind of cut like 10 minutes ago. Because then we got into Saw and then, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, but, you know.
I feel like the majority of stuff that we had to say was already kind of said at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
but
I think that, like, most of the things that we wanted to talk about are already kind of said. I think that Evil Ash is freaking legendary. I thought that was utilized awesomely. I think that the hand is one of the coolest parts. And I know you said you didn't really care for, like, the more, like, creature-esque things versus your, you know, makeup-esque human-like things from the first one.
Yeah, I just thought there was a bit of style left there.
Yeah, and I agree there. I think having them just human-like creatures is awesome. The aesthetic is great. But I do like getting into the weird, wild side of the franchise where it just comes up with different beasts and things like that, and like weird things that they can do, like float, freaking puke up blood everywhere. You know, do all these weird, wild mutation things. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you, you know, what's going to happen? What's going on here? And the hand came in clutch, and I loved how funny it was, how funny it is to see Ash go against his own hand, and then it comes back and it kills an important character. Well, important to the movie itself.
Right.
Not really a fan favorite, I would imagine. I mean, you know, no digs at the actor, but obviously Ash is the one that you're supposed to care about here.
Right.
So I think that Ash and these creatures are just so fun. And I think the first one was just a little bit bland on the Ash and the creatures. And I think the amount of wackiness and stupidity and the amount of fun that I had watching this is so much better than the first one.
That's fair.
And the first one I rated a 6.
Oof, that hurts me.
I know you didn't like.
I
The first
did not
one.
like the first one.
I kind of went into consideration of it's a cult classic. There are people who like it a lot. Me, I enjoyed some parts of it, but I did think that there was a lot missing. And for me, if it's above a 5, it's like 6 onward. I think it's 8. So 6 is 7. 6 is 8. 7, 8 is really good. 9, 10, perfect for me.
Yeah.
If it goes under 5, then not really for me. I think this movie, though, the first one, is at the 6. I'm thinking Evil Dead 2. Honestly, I'm really, really close in between two things.
Wow.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7.5.
I was thinking 8, but I'm going to give it a 7.5.
That's interesting.
Because I'm really close to 8, though.
You're close to 8.
It's close to 8. I really like this movie a lot. I just think back on a lot of the movies that I rated prior. That's how I do these. I don't really rank it from a 1 to 10. I think about the other movies before I do it. And there's certain movies that we rated that I rated like 8s or 9s. And I'm like, man, I like them a bit more. But this one definitely is really on the verge of 8. It's really close. 7.5. I'm just going to lock it there.
7.5. Okay. Well, I think the biggest criticism of this movie, for me personally, as we already talked about, is the lack of, compelling side characters.
Yeah.
Not too much explanation as far as who we should care about outside of Ash. But when it comes to Ash, I think his character is ramped up in such a way that he's finally equipped both Bruce Campbell and the character to take center stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like where the first movie, it was kind of an ensemble with, Ash standing out by the end especially. This movie was definitely, it gave him a true character arc. In a lot of ways, it gave him a badass scene, which I think these movies need to have. And it gave him things to fight and things to try to kill.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. Other than that, there was really inventive scenes like the hand, the idea of, good old possessed, Ash. And just quite frankly, I really enjoyed seeing things outside of the cabin, those few scenes here and there. I like that a little bit. And I like how do I want to say this? I like the idea that the original movie wasn't completely how the events went with how the recap goes in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because it leaves it more ambiguous. And in my head, I could see myself just kind of filling in the blanks while only watching 2 from here on. As I said before, I probably won't ever watch that first movie again. And I like the idea of filling in the blanks of this one a lot better and just calling this Evil Dead.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I really like that. I think the other big issue I had with the movie, or issue I should say, it's not huge, but this movie definitely feels limited by its time. So you got your wires, you got your unrealistic looking blood. I think some of the effects do look kind of bad, even though they didn't personally bother me. But small things like that could eat away at a modern viewing, and it definitely makes it a lot more jarring to see. You got a lot of superimposed images, and I think with the jump to more humor focus,
good move.
Great move. It works out really well. I think thankfully that makes it to where without the reliance on horror, these effects don't take me out of the experience.
Yeah.
In the same way that it would have if it was meant to be scary.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I agree there, because my score would be way lower if it was going for the horror-esque more than the comedy.
And these were the effects that we had.
Yeah, right? I agree.
You agree with that? Okay. So, with that being said, I rated this movie a 4.5.
Really?
No. Sorry, the first movie.
I was
Sorry, I rated the first movie a 4.5.
Dang, bro.
No, I'm not. These movies are not on the same playing field at all.
I was like, that's low.
First movie is 4.5. It was watchable, and it had, I think the best redeeming quality of the first movie was the deadpan, like, when Ash punches Linda, when she's laughing hysterically.
Yeah, that was a funny scene.
Like, just, not because we're abusing women or anything, but just the...
Hold up,
wait a minute. No,
cancel Falling Hurts.
No, I was saying because we're not. That's not why at all. I'm just saying, like, I really enjoyed, like, Ash was just kind of a dummy in the first movie, and like it was in such a way that's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? and like, what is happening? And then in this movie, it's the same thing, but it's like he's reacting to things.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fun. This is a fun movie to watch. I'll probably watch it again at some point in my life. And with that being said, I think this movie's a 7.
Yeah.
I really do. I do lean 7.5 though, but I don't think it's quite there. I think with the breadth of movies that we've rated higher than 7, I am not comfortable putting this movie above a 7.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I look back at the past movies we've rated, and I think, man, those are so good. And I'm
Yeah.
I love this movie. This movie's amazing. It's hilarious.
Well, I originally, before we talked about it, just to put a little preface on this, I was at 6.5, but then we talked about it. I was like, no, that's a 7.
Yeah. Like I said, I was thinking 8, and I still am very more towards 8 than I am 7.5, but I just can't bring myself to give it the 8 just because of some of the movies I rated prior that I definitely like a little bit more that I rated 8. So
That's fair.
Which, you know.
So 7 and 7.5.
Yeah, it's a great watch. If you've never watched this one, definitely watch it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
7.5 though, I still look at 7 even. I look at that as still good.
I mean,
you know how people are these days. If you don't rate it a 9 or a 10, it's bad.
if we average our rating, two people, the mean of that, we as Popcorner rated this movie a 7.25.
Yeah,
So I mean, still not bad.
that's close to IMDb.
I mean, if actually it is. Honestly, I don't remember what it was.
It was 7 point something.
Something, yeah. So interesting to think of it that way. But I do. I enjoyed this film a lot. I just think there's like things that don't hold up super well, and there's things that could have been improved that I hope do get improved for the next movie.
I'm very curious about the next one.
So with that being said-
I love. We didn't really say about how it ends though. The one thing that like really brings me to the 8 almost is because of the ending. I really like how it actually.
I appreciated that this movie both connected and reconnected the first movie,
one?
and then also felt like it had a plan for the third.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where people will make a movie, make a second one or whatever, but then they don't. They just come up with plans later on. This definitely looked like it wanted to do what it wanted to do in the third one.
They must have known that it was going to be a hit. Now, what if fans reacted terribly to the choice of comedy, and then just word of mouth killed this movie, and then they have that whole end scene where he drops off in medieval times.
Ends there. That's it. Evil Dead just ends
Franchise
with him just
ends.
standing there and just the desert, just knights everywhere.
No.
They're all just like kneeling to him. He's like, no. It's a great movie, man. I really want to rate it an 8, but
I love modern modern technology in a medieval setting, so I'm so excited for that next one.
Listen, all I'm saying, this movie made me love Evil Dead. I loved it because Evil Dead Rise. But the first one, when we came back and watched the first one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to like the old ones that much.
Yeah.
This one I love. So, that's all I'm saying. I'm ready.
I really enjoy these movies so far. 2 of 3.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for Army of Darkness. And you should subscribe if you've made it this far. And consider watching that next episode. Look out for it next week. And then after that, we're probably going to take a break from Evil Dead.
Yeah.
We'll probably watch the 2013 reboot, probably sometime around Halloween.
I really want to watch that, though, because I'm interested to see how different that one is.
I know. I'm very interested in that one as well, especially considering it's not too far detached from Evil Dead Rise, and they're both very detached from the original trilogy.
Yeah, the original trilogy.
So
that just makes me wonder how the Army of Darkness is going to end.
I know this has to be a wrap up.
I
think it's going to be like a full. I think it's going to have a nice bow on it to where it could be ended. But then maybe
it just ends on him going into the future.
Oh my god!
No, not again.
It's like I'm just waiting for the end of Army of Darkness. He was teleported to 2026. Evil Dead Rise 2, 2026. Oh man. Yes, things are looking bright.
Yeah.
Look forward to the next episode.
Great movie.
I'm Falling Hurts. He's not.
Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.